is just really, it just really tugs at my heartstrings. I've just been, feeding everybody and putting everybody to bed. And, just like she's crying out for love, and like she should be more forthright, and she should be saying, this isn't working. This is not cool. You promised you'd be home. It's not her thing.
Established their relationship.
Absolutely. Yeah.
She's
they're in this
sending him all of the signals of something is wrong. And I'm not going to tell you why I'm upset, because you should recognize that I'm sitting on the floor and I didn't get up to say hi to you. And I'm clearly upset. And all you're doing is running your mouth about how I told you to get a job and not be a lazy bum. He's the worst.
Oh, yes. I'm just kind of getting into this now, and the fact that I introduced you as gal pals, and now we're just having a really great man-hating bitching session, which is I'm just very,
we understood the assignment. Okay.
Yeah. I think I'm supposed to say I'm here for this. So also, I just think this is very kind of crafty that Craig is quite comfortable at lying. I know he is kind of mouthing off too much and stuff, but that's very clever lying, because he's mixing fact with fiction. And if Lottie is talking to Lester when they go to dinner, and if she mentions anything in passing, or he mentions anything in passing about how tonight went, it's entirely consistent. Oh yes, I remember, Craig, I was telling you about all of my, well, he maybe wouldn't mention it directly, and then
no, he would tell Lottie.
He probably would. Yeah, he'd be way into it. But then,
or do you want an invite? I can get you an invite.
And then, but he would just say, "Oh, that's right, Craig. You were very conscientious about getting home to your wife. I'm so sorry I kept you that." And that would entirely, unless they talk about the exact time of day, it probably wouldn't come up and stuff. So it's like, it's clever lying, mix the truth with the lies. He's done it before. But then it's also part of a pattern with him that he's not hiding anything else from Lottie, and you kind of get to see little glimpses of how their relationship was when it was nice, and because they're very close, and he immediately tells her about the portal when he discovers it, and there's a lot of,
they're like best friends.
Yeah, that's kind of the problem.
If for anything, because of their history, their shared history.
Exactly. Yeah. So that about wraps it up for minute 24. How about another date with my gal pals tomorrow?
Sounds good. We'll bring the light beer.
Oh, you.
Welcome to the 7.5 floor of the Merton Plummer Building. As you'll now be spending your workday here, it is important that you learn a bit about the history of this famous floor.
Welcome to Malkovich Minute, the daily podcast in which we get our minds out of the gutter long enough to discuss the film Being John Malkovich 1 minute at a time. I am your host, Austin Pryor, and joining me again today are the Tank Child and the ex-delivery boy, Haley and Katie.
Oh, what? I loved it. I couldn't hold my reaction. I just
dropping the references.
I love it. I want to make Tank Child happen like Fetch. So now it's technically happening.
I know it's happened.
Sorry, has Fetch happened?
No. Fetch is never going to happen.
Okay. Yeah, these were just things I heard you say on the podcast, and I had to look them up.
Bless.
So that I could, credibly use them on my own podcast. So today, we deal with minute 23 of Being John Malkovich. Minute 23 starts with Maxine ordering more of the same, and ends 1 minute later with a disappointed Lottie greeting Craig as he comes home late. Okay, so how do we get on with minute 23?
How you introduced it. He's come to life. He sees her, and that's why he pursues her so hard.
Yeah.
Is like, oh my gosh. And then it's not even like he's building a new puppet. He's just converting the one that he's no longer using. He doesn't want to do that show anymore.
Yeah.
Because now he's obsessed with Maxine.
He's just painting her toes and staring at her puppet vagina.
Yep. Yep. It's a very provocative position that he's painting her puppet toenails in.
I don't think I ever thought about that, but yeah, it's there.
She could be sitting in a chair. I'm sure he has doll chairs that he could have propped her in.
No.
He wanted her on her back.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, I'm not going to argue. So what we get here as well is what I mistakenly thought was maybe the first statement of the main theme, and I looked back through the minutes, and in minute 7 into minute 8, which is when Craig is looking through the newspaper, finds the ad, and when he first approaches the lobby of the Merton Flemmer building, there's a musical cue, and it's similar to this. It's the same kind of dum 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 dum. So the score is by Carter Burwell, who did all of the music for most of the Coen Brothers movies, and that's what he's famous for.
Oh.
And that's how he started. He was playing in bands and around New York, and the sound editor on Blood Simple, the Coen Brothers' first feature, knew Carter Burwell and suggested him. That started his music scoring career, and he's like now obviously known as a composer more than anything else. So I kind of really only knew that he did Coen Brothers stuff, and if you look into his filmography, he's done lots of stuff in between Coen projects, and then he did this and the paired piece with this, which is adaptation, and his soundtrack and adaptation I think is even better than this. It's one of my favorite soundtracks. It's fantastic. I love the music in this. I love how he can use the piano. He can put so much sweetness in it without it being saccharine, without it being sickly sweet, and it's just perfectly used here. And this is only the second bit of Carter Burwell music in the film, because all the rest of the music so far has been diegetic, which I really didn't know. I think as the movie goes on, there's much more score from here on out. But it's kind of amazing how little music there is up until now.
Mm-hmm. Interesting that it's such a sweet melody too for such a little creepy activity.
Yeah, I think we're playing on we're doing the music from the POV of Craig. To him, this is a romantic overture. This is this is a beautiful romantic thing he's doing. Nothing creepy at all. He's in his fantasy world.
This is a gesture for Maxine.
Exactly.
She should be flattered that he's making a puppet of her.
Yeah. Yes, some people, huh? Yeah, so what do we think of Craig's workshop?
It reminds me of the mom's workshop in Hereditary.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
That's a really good comparison. As soon as
Well,
you said
especially
it.
with the miniatures.
Yeah.
Like, she makes miniatures and he makes puppets, so it would just kind of, tie that connection in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're definitely the same kind of
Dark, dingy,
out there.
overcrowded.
They're, so out of their own worlds and too into these worlds that they're controlling.
Yes. Yeah.
Entirely.
I mean, she literally makes a miniature of her daughter's head.
Yeah, the car scene. Yeah. All of it. All of the scenes that she chooses to do this isn't a Hereditary podcast, but it's definitely, yeah, he's taking advantage of the moments of his life where he wants to be puppeteering.
Yeah.
And that's where he's that studio space, man.
It kind of relates to something. It relates to this theme of mastery and control, and it's a theme that's more explicit in adaptation, where he talks about where Susan Orlean has this lovely tract in The Orchid Thief about whittling the world down to a manageable size, and the way our hobbies or passions or whatever they are, because we focus in on them, they shrink the world down to a manageable size, and they create this kind of arena of mastery. And this is what Craig is retreating into here. And I think we all do it in maybe slightly more healthy ways, and maybe slightly less healthy. Who knows?
I mean, it takes how long to edit an episode of a podcast?
Yeah.
Is that healthy or unhealthy?
Oh, man. I'm finding out just how unhealthy it is. The recording is so much fun and the editing is so awful.
It's just a whole other skill set.
What we've got in this minute for the script is actually we have to go back to several pages earlier. If you can cast your mind back in the movie to the scene when Maxine says to Craig, "The thing of it is, you wouldn't know what to do with me if you got me." After that, we cut to this scene of Craig creating the puppet at that point. And then at that point, he performs just for the listeners, I need to describe Kate's face right now. Katie is wearing an expression of abject disgust on her face.
I feel like that makes it so much worse.
Yeah, she's anticipating what this scene is going to be.
Well, just like that scene cut coming right after that line makes it infinitely worse.
Yeah, you are not wrong, and we're going to pay that off right now.
Ugh.
So in this version, Lottie walks in and sees Craig creating this new puppet. So Lottie says, "New puppet?" Craig is surprised. Caught. Craig says, "Yeah, just an idea I had." "Oh, she's very beautiful." And he shrugs and says, "Just an idea I had." Craig hangs the puppet, stands and switches off the light. And Craig says, "Come on, let's go to bed." Then they're in the bedroom and they're both asleep, supposedly. And then quietly he gets up to leave and Lottie watches him go. Okay, so we know that Lottie actually sees him sneaking off in the middle of the night to go and play with this new puppet. So then we have the scene, which isn't in the movie, where Craig stands above the puppet stage. He is working both the Craig puppet and the Maxine puppet at the same time. The two perform a beautiful and graceful pas de deux. I had to look that up. It's a ballet duet, basically. Yeah. They finish in a passionate embrace, and then Craig quietly, "I would too know what to do with you."
Oh, God, no, I don't like it.
Yeah. So,
Nope.
So you're fine that they cut that bit out? And
Nope,
it was
that's totally
and it
fine
was
with me.
earlier in the film as well.
Ugh.
It's creepy enough.
I think it's creepy enough the way it is. Yeah.
We don't need to hear all of Craig's thoughts. We can kind of guess his thoughts.
So I know we've touched on it a bit so far, but I wanted to talk to each of you in turn about your impressions, because you both saw the movie for the first time quite recently. So just if you can cast your mind back to what you expected about this movie versus the reality of it, what did you take from it? What things do you want to study when you next watch it? Just general thoughts.
So I had genuinely no expectations. I was like, it's a movie. I know that they go into John Malkovich's mind. And that was literally all I knew about the film.
Wow.
I didn't even know who was in it. No, I had no idea. I literally thought it was about John Malkovich.
Which it technically is.
I mean, we're at minute 25 and nobody's mentioned or heard of being John Malkovich.
No.
Yeah, so I got about this far in the movie, maybe a little bit farther, and I was just like, I have no idea what this film is about.
There's so much good setup.
Yes, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Because I have only ever seen, like, the poster with
Yes,
all the Malkoviches.
Yeah.
And that's all I know about the film. So we get, 45 minutes almost into the film, and there's still no Malkovich. And I'm like, what in the world am I watching? And where is the Malkovich?
Yeah, could you imagine buying a ticket to this in 99 and being like, I thought what does being John Malkovich mean? I don't know when is he going to show up? Isn't he in the movie? Like, how are they using...
Yeah.
And then when it goes there... Okay, so I had no expectations either, other than that I knew it dealt with the metaphysics, which is a favorite topic of mine. Love going into just like what ifs.
She's a tinfoil lady.
Yes.
Great.
I have some just within reach right now. And I loved that I kept getting surprised. Like, the lines were so witty, but I didn't feel like I was watching Whedon Witfest. That's like, I'm so much more clever than you are. Like, the writing was just good. It was just so solid. I believed the characters. I believed their motivations. And I just was so, kept getting impressed by how it kept exceeding where I thought it was going to go. It was like... And then when we finally get to the portal, I'm like, I can't believe this is the actual plot of the movie. Like, now we are at what I think is his ear entrance.
What?
Like, I think the portal is his ear. I think it's John Malkovich's ear.
That's amazing. I have never thought of that.
Ooh, maybe it could be nostril.
Because he, falls into it, so are we, falling into the brain? Is his head upside down?
Because I'm thinking it's like they have literally a door into the side of his head.
And then the other side of his head is the New Jersey Turnpike?
Yes. Maybe that's how long it is. Maybe they're... Okay, here's what I'm thinking. Him walking through the tunnel...
This is what I deal with every day.
I love this so much.
He's walking through the tunnel, and then him falling, like the whoosh, is him actually falling out of the sky onto the turnpike road.
Yeah.
But his experience on a metaphysical level, he thinks that he's experienced a whole... Oh, metaphysics. So he is experiencing John Malkovich's time.
Yeah.
But that's actually how long it takes to travel from one side of his head to the other.
So,
I may have put the tinfoil on. Sorry, without giving you a warning.
Man, that is so good. So, you're... So... I'm using the word "so" as if something else is going to come out of my head after that. It's just... So Haley,
it just keeps going crazier places. Then it's like when they went into his head and he experiences John Malkovich for the first time. The first thing I thought of was, then what is happening to John Malkovich? Like, what is his experience like?
Yeah.
And also, what if he went in his own portal? That's the first thing my mind went to. So then, when they actually did it, I was like, oh, this is so satisfying. I love that we're getting, that he sees his own portal. And he's like, I crawl through this. This is what you people have been doing to control me.
Yeah.
And I love that then he sees duplicates of himself.
Yeah.
Because that is what your own meta universe is you're just imagining yourself in other people's experiences.
Yeah, and everybody that we have in our head, every mental model that we have of other people isn't really them. It's us. It's just a different facet of us because we can't fully model somebody else's mind.
Exactly. It's a reflection of